Hello, my name is Krista Varanyak. I'm here with Maria Ferrara, and we are lecturers at the University of Virginia here to talk about our Stats Live event. So we've held this event at our department for about the past 4 years for our introductory and intermediate students to expose them to the versatility of the discipline of statistics.
So there are 3 steps to planning a Stats Live event, and the first step is logistics. So there's a lot involved in this first step, and we're going to kind of explain this very quickly, but one of the main things that you want to consider is what audience are you going for. Decide what classes you want to be involved, where you're going to hold the event, so what room or rooms do you need to have to fill to allow for student capacity, what panelists do you want to invite, and you want to decide whether to hold the event virtually or in person. For inviting a panelist, there are many things to consider. A few of them are, do you have a budget to compensate the panelists? What demographics are your students, meaning what majors are going to be there? What types of students do you have? Are they just science students? Are they business and science? Are they stat majors? And you also need to consider, are the panelists available to come in person or to virtually come to your event? Here are some examples of panelists we have invited in the past. All of them have varying levels of experience in statistics in their field. And one of the key things is that we wanted to consider diversity in our panel. Diversity in the sense of different experiences in industry. And the last logistic that needs to be carefully considered is, do you want to hold this event virtually or in person? There are many advantages and disadvantages to both. For example, with virtual settings, it is easier to coordinate panelists, but it is more riskier in the sense that you might have a lot of technology issues that might arise. In person, you tend to have the ability to interact and have a lot more interactive Q&A sessions with the students, but it is limited to what room sizes you have. You have to have smaller class sizes.
So after you've decided on who you would like to have as your panel or your event and where you would like to have it, the next part is considering how you're adding it to your class. So we have found that integrating the event as an actual assignment, a weighted part of the grade, is the best way to get the most engagement from students. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how we create an event. Or an assignment. So typically our assignment has 3 components to it: a pre-assignment, where our students become more familiar with the speakers through reading bios, reading works they've published. Sometimes for upper level workshops, they'll actually get data from the panelists to start analyzing and just think over. Attending the event, obviously a big component, and then we ask our students to write a follow-up reflection with some guided prompts. So after you've got those pieces, now it's the day of the event and time to put it on. So one of the biggest things to consider while you're doing this to get the most out of it is to test the technology in the classroom. The week before, the day of, you want to have somebody assigned to taking attendance, printing your rosters, and establishing what are going to be the ground rules for your event. I'm going to talk a little bit about the program as well. So you want to be sure that the event has a specific program that you're going to follow so that everybody knows what's happening and to get the most engagement out of students instead of trying to just wing it from the panelists. So we introduce our panel, and then they have prepared questions that we sent them in advance that we'll ask them through. And then we will select questions from students based on their pre-assignment, and those students will ask them. Then we'll leave the last 10 to 15 minutes for a live Q&A with our students. The event will be about 50 minutes for the introductory, just panel, career panel, and will be about an hour and a half when we do an intermediate workshop to leave time for the workshop and the Q&A.
And lastly, here are some quotes taken directly from a few student reflections. So they had to write reflections after the event. And in general, the overall theme that we tend to see in the student reflections is that they value the versatility that statistics can have, and they express a deeper appreciation for statistics through uh, having this event. We want to thank everyone for coming. And if there are any questions, feel free to reach out to Krista or myself.